You're listening to Sit, Talk, and Listen podcast with your hosts, Payroll Rob and Zadie Bauer.
Yes. Okay, Zadie, we're live, and it is October 3rd, 2024. We are out here at Afton Athletic recording our podcast live out of the back of my 2005 Ford Escape. What do you say, Xavier? Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, we like to try some nuanced things here and there. We were out. This is our second outside.
Yeah, we like to get outside. We like to get inside.
We did it for the infamous, what's the solar eclipse?
Yeah, we were out for the solar eclipse.
And then we are in between games of a doubleheader for the softball team we're on.
Out here with the Cucumbas playing our Thursday night softball. So you guys are lucky enough to get a peek inside the softball window.
Might be a little hungover this episode from all the champagne we popped after the first game win. 15-14. Corey Sanchez makes an unbelievable over-the-head catch from second base to end it. Brought
us home with a victory with all the theatrics right there at the end. That was a good game. That was a really good game.
We played 9v10.
And for some odd reason, we have an hour in between our doubleheader. And so with the schedules the way they're working this week, we decided what better thing to do than try a little different recording and bring the pod out here to Afton Athletic. So
we have to get him in. First off, I want to start with a happy belated to Matt.
There you go. Shouts out. Happy 21st.
I have not reached out yet like the terrible friend I am. A lot of stuff was happening in-house.
That's okay.
So things got away, but
if he listens, he'll know you
to one
care.
of my favorite people in the world.
And if he doesn't listen, then he won't get this wish. So
happy birthday, Matt. Love you, brother.
Got that out of the way.
Yeah, so I was kind of texting back and forth with Bob a little bit earlier this week about some of the things going on. And one thing for me is
show prep.
I've been watching the Vince McMahon documentary. Now, it is on Netflix. 6 episodes, about an hour each.
Yes.
Have you watched any of it?
I have not had a chance to get into it, but I am interested.
So
I am interested.
Grew up. I mean, wrestling was, a huge part of my childhood. I'd say from ages 6 to probably as late as 14. I mean, I grew up in the Awesome Attitude Era with Stone Cold and The Rock, which ended up becoming probably the two biggest names, along with like Hulk Hogan and Undertaker. But
a lot of big names.
But this is kind of a big peek behind the curtain of Vince McMahon's life. There's been a lot of controversy surrounding Vince McMahon. Well, basically his whole adult life, but more recently.
How involved was Vince McMahon in making this docuseries? Do you know?
I mean, I think Netflix had a lot of the creative, but he was basically in the whole documentary talking and stuff. But I think he made a statement after it was released saying, I hope you guys watch this with an open mind. This isn't necessarily some of the things weren't portrayed as accurately.
Oh, well, interesting.
As he thought.
It's okay.
But it's funny because one point in the documentary, Vince says, the bad guy that I was playing, a lot of people think that's me. He said, but it couldn't be further from the truth. I played a whole different character. And then they pan to like 10 different people saying, no, Vince was pretty
it was on brand.
Yeah. So, which is kind of concerning considering a lot of the
storylines,
sexual allegations that have been made to Vince McMahon, kind of on and off. Like there's one point which I thought.
Do you think that him, and his companies being what is it, E now? Yeah. You think them being involved with Netflix makes it so they're not gonna make as scathing of a docuseries as it could have been? Do you think that they held their punches a little bit?
No.
Really? Okay.
I don't think
that's good. That's all I'm asking. I don't know. Did not watch it. So
they got into some of the darkest times at WWF.
But even if they were dark, that's just people know about it, so they knew they had to touch on it. You don't think that they
Well, Vince McMahon is not associated anymore with WWE.
I think I heard that before. But that's what everybody knows him for.
But I mean, they went in from everything with the steroids from the. It's funny because they dealt with steroids and they were in and out of court in the 80s for steroids. And here, I mean, it's not like anything's changed. So I thought that was kind of funny how
it's just the court of law, and people. That whole time through the 70s and 80s was really like an unmasking of entertainment and things where people didn't want to know how the sausage was made, but then they found out how the sausage was made, so then they started coming up with reasons to be angry, and steroids was like the first scapegoat. Like, this is messing with the integrity of our sports. It's like, wait a minute.
Now, I will say, watching back, one of the interesting things, one of the talking points I wanted to bring up was, so it took off, like, so there was I'll try to not get too into the weeds from people who aren't big wrestling fans, but there was a competitor of the WWE from the early 90s to throughout all the 90s, WCW, which was owned by Ted Turner and Ted Turner.
Turner Broadcasting Group or whatever they call it.
It actually beat WWE for 83 weeks. Now, what started swinging in the momentum going back to the WWF at the time was they were really they're very edgy. They kind of went away from, well, they claimed that they weren't marketing to kids anymore, but they're still selling action figures and toys and stuff. But I mean, they were doing stuff like women were being stripped basically butt naked in the ring, and people were loving it.
Yeah.
You know.
People eat that kind of stuff up. Do you see that to be the path for when they go to Netflix here, that it's going to become more adult themed with their
maybe
content?
so, but
bring
to what
back
I was
those
going to
bikini
say,
matches and stuff.
I don't know, because that's what I was going to get at. I mean, they were
It's
really racy.
2024, brother.
I think a lot of stuff they did would not be approved at this time. I mean, I'm talking about, like, there was racial innuendos, very sexual innuendos. I mean, there was a time where Triple H was basically mocking Kane and acting like he was making love to his dead girlfriend.
Hell
I mean, so
yeah.
necrophilia was. I mean, dude, it was like the wild, wild west. And Triple H at one point said,
crazy stuff.
"Who's wrong? The person who was creating all this, or the millions of people that were entertained?" Which I thought was interesting.
It's a chicken and an egg thing, because that's the same question with consumerism. Who's wrong? The consumers for buying these products, or the companies for making these products available for everybody to buy up all the time, and then advertising to us that we need them. So. It's a chicken and an egg question. If wrestlers really thought it was wrong, they could easily just say, "I'm not going to do this," but they won't, because their jobs and livelihoods depend on them portraying out the story as it's written, whatever their bosses tell them is the story. So I get it; they're going to do it, but that doesn't totally absolve you from being a piece of shit. If you were a piece of shit to somebody, even if it was on camera and part of the storyline.
Well, at one point, and this would be the last little topic I touch on the Vince series. I might revisit it here in later episodes.
Yeah,
maybe.
I plan to watch it.
But
we can definitely get into the deets.
There's one point where they brought up a storyline that Stephanie McMahon, which is Vince's daughter, was pregnant, and Vince admits that one of the storyline was who was the baby daddy, and Vince at one point had expressed that he tried to say that they wanted to do a storyline where he was the baby daddy, and Stephanie, his daughter, put a big no on that, which is just kind of.
Well, it's not right. It's just not right.
Like,
I don't care, fiction, non-fiction, funny, not funny, whatever you think. It's just like, what if we just don't make storylines about incest? Then everybody wouldn't think it's funny. Hell, I don't know.
Game of Thrones, one of the most popular shows of our time.
Hey, trust me, dude. If you look at any Pornhub, XXN Tube, whatever else, RedTube, if you look on any of those sites, some of the most popular videos in the last 5-10 years has probably been incestual family fake stuff. Clearly, it's another chicken and egg situation. They wouldn't make it if people weren't watching it.
So
those Alabama, Mississippians, I'm going to call them out. They like their incest down there. They're keeping those storylines alive, I guess.
I don't know, because in the shows, it's like a lot of times and I don't want to get too deep into this topic, but a lot of times it's like the really rich or the royal people that want to keep it in family.
Yeah.
I think the country and southerner people kind of have taken they
take the rap. But there is a family in West Virginia that's like,
no. Brant and I have watched that whole documentary.
So,
it's fucked, dude.
It's a little both. The Hill people definitely like getting with their own people, but you're right. There's something about weird sociopath rich folks that are like, keep my bloodline clean.
So we look back now, and we say, well, that was a different time. Now. How often do we say that? It was a different time then, things that people were entertained by. But that would lead me logic to think that there's going to be something that we're entertained by now that in 10, 15 years, people will be like, oh, that was a different time. What do you think some of that stuff's going to be?
Yeah,
I have my opinion.
That's an interesting question. Maybe you could share your opinion while I chew on that for a little bit.
So my opinion on looking back, I think that how obsessed with true crime and serial killers
that's a very good one
that the public has really desensitized to whenever it was. Sometimes maybe it's covering something that happened in the 70s, but even you can go on YouTube and watch. They'll be going in depth and talking about things that have happened in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Now that's somebody. There's still family alive and people that experienced it
that
and
are
went
very
through
close
that.
To those situations.
Like not to hit too close to home, but it's like if somebody were to cover the whole thing that happened with your uncle on YouTube, would you feel a type of way about that?
Oh. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't seek it out, so I probably wouldn't even know that it was out there. But if I did come across it, I'd be like, it's interesting that somebody, feels compelled a certain way to break down this whole thing. I don't know. I think it's a little different in my case than it is others, where it is a lot more traumatic and they were involved firsthand. It's like opening up scars by people doing these breakdowns of true crime, and you have crime photos and they get interviews with police officers and stuff, and the most in-depth ones, and it's like that you start to really open Pandora's box there. Like when you talk about some of the OJ documentaries that are out there, and just how freely they're just throwing this evidence out there, and like all these photos of Nicole dead, it's fucked up. And so I agree. That's a really good one that I think we're going to look back on in 10 or 15. I don't know if it's going to be 10 or 15. It might be longer than that.
People love, dude, it's popular. There's whole TV networks.
Yeah, podcast TV networks.
And I'm guilty of it.
Up. Jane, my fiance, she's a big fan. She watches a lot of that. I think for me, it's similar kind of, but I think we're definitely gonna. I think we're gonna turn the clock on the social media thing in 10, 15, 20 years.
In what way?
And that people are gonna realize that it brings very little good to their lives, and the way that they use social media is gonna change completely. It's gonna become, something that it's just barely there, that people don't pay actual mind to and don't give any credence to. It's just like they realize that it's actually just a form of entertainment, and it's not meant to be taken as serious as people take it these days. There's still going to be people using it to make money and engagement, but I think as people become more aware of how easily information is manipulated on there, it's going to hopefully turn the tide of how society, accepts and uses social media. So I hope we look back on social media in 10, 15, 20 years and be like, man, I'm glad that we don't use that like we did in 2020, 2024. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe you don't think that, but that's a hope of mine.
Well, obviously,
I feel that way. I don't use social media nearly like I did 5, 10 years ago.
I mean, you know that I don't.
Right. So
I don't have
it.
Even most recently, I deleted Reddit again because it's just like,
Echo Chamber City.
Everything is just so freaking toxic. I don't know if it's got I guess it's got its racy moments, but I think it's toxic in completely different ways and more nuanced ways because it's so new than anything we've seen. I mean, if
TikTok.
If you look back,
but it's still a cesspool of just not good information, things that people watch and believe is real and good information, but it's fixed with some real information and some not real information, and it just makes it confusing. So I don't know. I think that's just as bad as anything else, and it's getting to a point where people can only consume things in 30-second chunks, right? Or 60-second chunks. They have no ability to focus or critically think past a minute or two, and then on to the next thing.
Well, so knowing everything that you do since 2000, do you think the average person would say, like, you can go back, you would never know that social media existed? Do you think people would still want it? Or do you think that they would be like, okay, well, I'm not going to have any of these, whatever problems they might have with social media? Do you think the average person would say, keep it, everything, or delete it?
I'm trying to understand what the question is exactly.
If somebody said to you, hey, Bob, you can go back to 2000 and you are going to be deciding whether social media is ever created, starting with MySpace and to what it's became, or it's not created at all.
I think it'd still be created, even if... Is it up to me?
Yeah, it's up to you.
I think I'd still create it. I do think there is some good... It can be a good and useful tool.
So you think the good outweighs the bad?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying there. That's what I'm asking.
I think... Hold on. I think the good that it does by having it available to the world is better than if it was never brought to the world in general, because it does give people in other countries way to communicate across the world instantaneously. It makes a way for people that are in poor neighborhoods to share their experiences with people of authority in a lot more true and representative way than it ever has been, right? It's giving people that opportunity, and those are good things, but it's the inability for us as society to at large fully filter through the timelines and the algorithm and the machine that is social media. Like, too many people buy it as the Bible these days. Everything they see online is the truth. And if it agrees with what they say, it's the truth. And if it doesn't agree with what they believe, then it's not true. And so it just feels like it needs to take a turn at some point where people get good at filtering out the information that they're seeing online of what's credible, what's not credible.
I would venture to say that it will only get worse.
Well, hopefully it only gets worse before it gets better. Things are cyclical. And I'm a cynic.
I mean, it's a new age.
She's a new age girl. You know that song? That's the one, the Maddie Mo. She's a vegetarian. Yeah?
Nope.
Damn it, Davey.
Nope.
It's a one-hit wonder, so get on that one.
Maddie Mo.
Maddie Mo. No, it's Maggie Mo, I think. No. Me?
You said Maddie Mo.
Hell, I don't remember. Something like that. It's one of those, but it's something about her being a vegetarian. She don't eat meat, but she sure likes the bone, is the hook of that song.
Huh.
Yeah, you like it?
Still no.
Well, all right. Glad we got on that subject. I do.
Do you have anything that's piqued your interest since the last time we've spoke? Lots going on here.
Yeah, I got a lot of things happening. Been watching the grass grow. No, I think I've come to more of a realization that I'm less tuned into sports than I've ever have been. As the Cardinals season comes to a close and they talk about their plans for the future, there's fans that are, outraged and this and that. And I just find myself going, well, we'll see what the team looks like next year, I guess.
Well, here's something interesting then in the sports realm. The Detroit Tigers eliminated the Houston Astros yesterday from playoff contention.
Also,
their closer, Josh Hader, blew the save.
Yeah.
Josh Hader made more money than the entire Detroit Tigers playoff roster.
Yeah. I heard this stat, and it just feels...
It was confirmed.
If there's 26 players on a roster, each making... Even league minimum is $800,000, almost $1 million.
No.
What's league minimum?
I'm not positive, but it's not 800,000, dude. We did the research today.
Who's we?
Brendan and I.
Okay.
Today we talked about it. Now with Kenta Maeda not in the playoff roster and Javi Baez out, which was their two highest players, they had several players on a rookie contract. Now again, I'm sure Brady will fact check me on this, and I'll be wrong, and I'll talk about it.
It's like 19. It is crazy
still,
that it's even close. You're right.
It's nuts
that it's even close.
But that's what I love about playoff baseball. But
do you find it more interesting or less interesting the way that playoff baseball is now, where teams go 162 games only to come down to a 3-game series potentially against a team that just got in and was playing, meaningful ball games for the last month? When it's not my team,
more interesting.
Yeah.
If it was the Cardinals, I would be quite pissed. But then again, don't cry about it. Everybody's playing within the same rules.
Sure. I'm not saying that. I just say, are you as engaged in playoff baseball now as you were when Cardinals weren't in it in other years?
I'm more engaged in playoff baseball than the Cardinals aren't playing now, but I think that's because I follow sports just as much, and I think, I love like yesterday, I watched both playoff games when I got home. I was following the one just because it's interesting. It is it's fun for me to follow. But in the years past, if the Cardinals were out, I was barely watching. I was keeping up with it, but I watched both games last night. That's what I did.
Yeah. No, I can't say that I watch too much playoff baseball if the Cardinals aren't involved. And it's, playoff baseball is the most entertaining of baseball. So it's not that I wouldn't enjoy it. I just find myself doing different things.
Well,
been playing a lot of gigs the last bunch of weeks, so I've just been diving into the drums anytime I've had any free time.
That's good.
And free time has been very limited, as you know. You're the same way. So it's just, that's what I've been doing with my time. So I just I've never been interested in playoff baseball, really, if the Cardinals weren't in it. So I'm totally uninterested in it now that it's the way, I don't know. I'm just not as engaged as I once was, that's for sure.
That's fair.
That's for sure. But I do love me that college football, and I caught some of the Georgia-Alabama.
Oh, my goodness.
What a game. What a game. It felt like I should have been played at John Reddick's on a Monday night.
For those who don't know, Georgia, number 2, was taking on number 4, Bama. Bama came out to a 28-0 lead.
Yeah, I was playing a gig, and one of our breaks, I walk up to the bar to grab a drink, and I look up, and it was like 33-8 Alabama. I said, oh, well, this game's fucking in hand. I said, this game's in hand.
Georgia
How
came
wrong
all the way back.
was I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Georgia roared back. It was slowly picking away, and then right there towards end fourth, jumped out in the lead. I was very surprised. And then Alabama making a big play with a minute or so, a little over a minute left. That dude spin move. Hit
Williams.
Ryan Williams, thanks for the name. Juke, hoop, spin, whip-de-doo-dah into the end zone. What a play on his part. Hell of a game. Hell of a game.
Kid was 17 that made that play. 17 years old.
Yeah, I was not doing that kind of stuff at 17.
What were we doing?
Losing to a mirage of other small Catholic high schools.
Yeah, things weren't good. Things were not good for us in the football world at 17, but I wouldn't change any of that for the world.
Yeah, at least we were playing. Got out there to pop a few pads.
I might change some of it.
Yeah,
but
it's all right.
Some great memories.
Yeah. Shouts out Jim Welby, Coach Fox, the boys.
All of them, yeah.
Terrell Sweeney.
Yeah, so, what was I going to say? So, last week we asked a question, and the most which was, if you were locked into a room for a week, TV show, what drink, what food would you choose, and what music? And
yeah, we got a lot of response on that.
So many Simpsons, dude.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Hadn't even crossed my mind as we talked about it the other day, because I do like Simpsons when I watch it, but I never spent too much time watching it. It was one of those things that if I was looking for something to watch and I could not find pretty much anything else and Simpson was on, I was like, oh, all right, I'll just leave it on the Simpsons, I guess. So I if I was in a place for a year, sure, I could probably go for watching the Simpsons. Shit.
Yeah. No, I would say
so that's a good one. That's a good one, guys.
And I try to usually read the comments that we do have if people take the time to comment like we ask.
And craft these comments, yeah.
I know we had
we had a few. There was a few. At least a few.
We did. And so we had my brother Billy saying he would pick MGK. His TV show would be The Challenge.
Oh, what? Machine Gun Kelly?
Yeah.
All right. Well, his list, I'm not going to judge it. I'm not going to stay there for a year.
Really comment and take your stand for MGK.
Yeah.
He chose his food would be the 5-layer burrito, which, gosh, I guess he's by himself.
Taco Bell?
Just one 5-layer burrito.
Oh, my.
Every single breakfast, lunch, and dinner, dude. And his drink was going to be the Fierce Grape Gatorade. Brendan,
he might be dead after a year, just from what he's eating and drinking.
Brendan Butler commented and said, Queen.
Yeah.
TV show Simpsons.
Yeah, solid.
Food was the chicken parm.
Ooh.
And another popular drink, he chose
chicken
grape Gatorade
parm,
as well, but he went with G2.
Good. The G2 is good.
Yeah, and then...
you remember when I got popped by the priest for stealing a Tigerade?
I will never forget. Dude,
never
also,
forget.
Tiger Woods had a version of Gatorade for a little while there in the late
they were popping.
2010s, I guess.
Yeah.
No, early 2010s.
No, it was late
2000s.
Yeah,
like
2009. Yeah.
Yeah. So Tiger Woods had a thing called Tigerade, and
we were good at conning the lunchroom. We knew where to get our food and how to sneak through the line without paying for this food. And that's how it goes when you're two poor guys from South City. You just kind of, you scrap. They called us scrappers. Nobody called us scrappers. I called us scrappers. So I decided to get cocky one day, and after the initial lunch rush died down, I'm like, shit, I didn't grab me a Tigerade for today, bruh. So I decided it's time to go up there and just grab it and go ahead and try to just walk on out. Little am I paying attention as I'm walking out. Our school's priest is standing right there. He says, where you going with that, big boy?
Did he say that?
Well, in my mind, he said that. He said something along those lines, something like, where are you going? And I said, so-and-so bought this for me. He said, oh, yeah, really? Let's go ask him. I said, shit. So we
Did you
went
complain then?
Huh? Yeah.
No, you said you wouldn't ask.
Well, we did. We went over there, and as we stood there, I said, no, he didn't actually buy it for me. I was.
You wrote it out that long?
Well, it wasn't that long. It was like 30 seconds for us to walk over there.
If you knew you were about to go ask somebody, why wouldn't you just say?
Because I was trying to see if he was going to bluff and like not ask him. Just write it out for a second. So then I had to sit at lunch with the priest for a week and right my wrongs, I guess.
Yeah.
For that
there was
$2 Powerade. I didn't learn my lesson.
I remember there was another time when you came over with a tray full of unearned goods. And did we already tell the story on the podcast?
No, heck no.
So we're sitting at, I think this is freshman year.
Yes.
And Bob comes up behind me with a tray full of goodies, and I had a belly full of empty. And
you had a whole big old tray too.
Not that day.
Oh, okay.
Not that day. But I go to turn around and grab a popcorn chicken piece, which were fire.
Yeah,
from Bob's, and he
goes to
back.
He goes to reach onto my tray, and I have a reaction. I jerk back and try to get his little grubby paws off my tray. And as I jerk back, like half of the other food on my tray decides it's going to go spilling out all onto the ground and everywhere. And I was not a happy boy.
He punched me in the back of the head.
It was an open hand slap. It was not a full on punch.
It felt like
I'm
a
sure
punch
it felt like a punch because it was a lot of palm.
But anyways, quick Bob deflecting the fact that that was completely on him. He could have.
Oh yeah. Well, it wasn't totally a deflection. I'm saying how it went down.
What if you went back in line and were like, "Hey, I just came through here.
This jabron spilled my old tray." Like, we don't remember you buying any of this. What are you talking about? Oh, sorry. That's how that went probably.
Come with us.
Come with us. We got a priest you need to have lunch with.
Yeah. Oh man.
Well, shorter fuse for me in those days. I'm a lot shorter tempered, I would say, to lay hands on anybody. So I always apologize for my behaviors, Dave. Hopefully I didn't knock anything loose.
Way shorter fuse from now you de-escalate situations by suggesting that people in the cars can suck their own dicks because you can't get all of them.
Exactly.
So,
it's. I'm just saying, I could have handled it differently. I would have probably popped out the car and tried to slap a hoe, if it was 10 years ago. Now, I just make a little snide comment and tell them how I can't suck their own dick, so they're going to need to take care of it. Yeah. I think that's fair play, honestly.
We're de-escalating situations now without violence. We're just making oral insults.
Yeah, that's how I like to do it.
The title of today's episode, Oral Insults.
I can get down with it.
I guess you can insult somebody not orally.
Yeah, just show them your bunghole. That'd be like an insult, right?
That's one way. That's
or
one
like
way
a
to
middle
get them.
finger is nonverbal insult.
Yeah. So,
what else is happening in the world?
There is
it's spooky season. What do you thinking about Halloween at all?
No. I mean, there was a world.
There was a world
where I had some ideas, but things have changed in my life, so I have to reassess some of the ideas I had because they were all kind of package deals. So now I have to go more of a solo dolo costume idea.
Yeah,
and I have, I've gone all out on Halloween one year, and that was 2 years ago when I dressed up as Kanye West from "I Love It" music video. where I made a big dude, it cost me like $300. I made a big contraption out of these cardboard boxes. If you've seen the I Love It music video, Kanye West and Lil Pump are dressed as these like big square
like a Roblox dude almost.
Dude, but it was a hit. It was a hit for the people who at the party. Half the people had no clue. It just looked like I was like a big fucking
box man.
So many people were like, "Oh, it's Kanye!
It's Kanye!
And,
he's here!"
Yeah, so it was fun, but it was a lot of work and money, which.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing for me is it's like I don't mind dressing up. I would dress up any Halloween, but the investment into a costume is like it's hard these days out here. You know what I mean? Like I if I had to spend more than $50, it's like I might not be interested.
It was fun. I would do it again.
Yeah.
I'd love to be in a situation where I could just go all out every Halloween because it is so fun.
Yeah, Halloween's big popular. What do you think? I'm not even tapped in at all as far as like what's going to be the big costume this year. What are people into?
People probably running back with the Travis and Taylor Swift. But
you think?
Because people are simpletons. But I don't know. I don't know what the most popular. I don't know. Probably a lot of maybe Kamala, Donald Trumps.
Hopefully not.
I bet we do, though.
I'm sure there's going to be.
It's going to be a week before the election.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be the people who find a mask at the Spirit Halloween store of one of them and be like, "Look at me, I'm Donald Trump."
Trump with his like a bandage over his ear.
Oh yeah,
I bet
probably that's an all right one. That's all right. That's a good guess.
I'm just guessing. I'm not saying that would be mine.
What else do we have? What are some of the big blockbuster movies that have been coming out? Did we have we had Wolverine and Deadpool? You think that's going to spike any of that? No. Somebody I'd heard
maybe some Joker, Harley Quinn again, which is always a popular one, but that movie just came out with Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix.
That's a good guess.
And it's always one of the more popular ones ever since Heath Ledger. But again, I'd venture to say that's going to be
up there.
Yeah,
that's a good guess. Dang, I just forgot my train of thought. I was going to mention something.
Sorry.
No. It's all right. It's okay. I'd call you a sweet prince, but that's bad form.
But yeah, no, I don't know. Comment in, Halloween lovers, with what.
Yeah, what are your Halloween plans, and how big do you like to go out for Halloween?
Yeah, so that's basically. I don't know if this might be one of our shorter episodes given the circumstances and.
Yeah, we are standing in a parking lot in Afton, Missouri, just for those that didn't catch the beginning. But it's gonna bug me. I feel like there was definitely something right on the tip of my tongue, right on the tip of my tongue.
Well, this will be a short listen this week for you guys. Unfortunately, I think that that's basically the time.
We're gonna put a bow on it. It sounds like.
I think so.
All right.
I think it's came to a natural conclusion, but
yeah. We'll be back in studio, if you will, for our next episode, most likely. So a little bit of a chance for us to put things together, for me to be on the search on the fly. That's usually where things also can come together a little bit more. But it was fun. Way to get it done with the schedule we had this week, huh?
Yeah, it was good. I'll look back and be like, it was a softball episode.
So let's go
oral insults.
Oral insults title.
Thank you guys. Love everybody, and
that's it.